All right, we're in Matthew 5. As you find that, let me tell you about the two guys. They were rednecks. They were carpenters. One was always teasing the other. The other was not really known for being all that bright. One night, the first carpenter shined his flashlight up to the second story of a house. He said, "You see that?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Would you mind climbing up this light beam and fetching my hammer for me? I left it up there." The nitwit said, "How dumb do you think I am?" He said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He said, "Well, you better be sorry, because I know you too well. You'd let me get halfway up that beam and then turn the light out on me." Yeah. Jesus says in our text, right after he says, "You're the salt of the earth," he says, "Ye are the light of the world." And he said this during his Sermon on the Mount, the greatest sermon ever preached by the greatest preacher who ever lived. And he said it to his disciples. He told the disciples, he, Jesus, who is the light of the world, looked at them and said, "Ye are the light of the world." Now, you've never seen a more common group of guys by the world standards. They might have been considered the rednecks of their day. So ordinary, unimportant, humanly speaking, of course. And when Jesus said to them, "Ye are the light of the world," it's in spite of the fact that the Greeks were all around them, the Greeks who were really known as being the enlightened ones. They were known for their superior knowledge. They were enlightened. Their art, their architecture, their philosophy. It was like the world regarded them as the smart ones, as the enlightened ones. Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, they had already given their teachings before Jesus said to this unassuming group of men, "By the way, you guys, ye are the light of the world." Well, Jesus is saying that to his followers in our text. Jesus is saying that to his followers in this room and watching this service right now. He's saying to us as believers, "Ye are the light of the world." And it makes me want to lift up my head and be encouraged and realize what a grand and glorious thing it is to be a child of the King. To be able to walk in the light as he is in the light, as he is the light. And to hear him say, "You are the light of the world." Well, I know better than that. No, I'm not. We know better than that. No, we're not. And yet, if he is in us, then we can be the light of the world. If we reflect his light, we can be lights for this world. Well, he said, "Ye are the light of the world." He said, "Ye are the salt of the earth." In the original language, these statements are in the emphatic tense. Now, not to bore you with the Greek this morning, but the emphatic tense of these words means that it would be appropriate to say it this way: "You and you alone are the light of the world." You and you alone, you only are the light of the world. Like, if you're not going to give light to this world, nobody else is. Ye are the light of the world. Now, remember we just studied the Beatitudes, the verses leading up to these illustrations. These Beatitudes are all about character qualities that we'll possess as we're conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. And then he gives these two illustrations of salt and light to help us understand that we need to be salt that penetrates, as we covered a couple of weeks ago, and light that radiates, that we look at this morning. When we talked about salt, we pointed out how salt irritates. It does irritate. It'll make them thirsty. It seasons and it flavors, and most importantly, it preserves. And we said that salt is a miracle, right? Composed of two deadly poisons, each of which, ingested by themselves, would kill a person, but combined together somehow miraculously form something that's good. Well, light, like salt, is a miracle. Think about light. How do you define light? What is light? We just came in and flipped on the switches today. and we just assumed they would come on. In spite of them not coming on in Texas for several days this week, we generally understand that when you flip the switch, the lights come on. But what is that? And what did Edison up the road in Milan do to be able to make that? And what did God do long before Edison did it to create what is the essence of light? Webster's dictionary defines light as that which makes it possible to see. Oh, well, thank you very much. But you didn't really tell me what light is. I mean, what is it? Here's what I do know. We live in a darkened world. We were left here to disseminate light into the darkness. There are many dark places, even right in our own community, even right in the United States of America, especially here right now. It's time for us children, the children of God, to rise just as the Son of God did, and once again be a light to this planet, because there's no greater time to be the light than when there's so much darkness. The Bible says that God is light. Now think with me what that means in three simple ways: intellectually and morally and physically. Intellectually, if God is light, intellectually, then that means that the knowledge of God is light or enlightenment. Morally, that means the holiness of God is light. Physically, that means the glory of God that shines forth is light. And when Jesus looks at us, which that's what he's doing in our text, he's looking at people like us. He's looking at us today, since all Scripture is profitable for us today still. When Jesus looks at us and says, "Ye are the light of the world," it means he's deposited his light, his nature inside of us, and we're supposed to let it out. It's in there. If you've been born again, it's in there. It just needs to be allowed to shine forth. Now let's have a show of hands this morning. How many of you remember when your eyes were opened and you saw the light? Can I see your hands? What a wonderful day. Because darkness is a miserable place to be. Christian, you aren't the only person ever called the light of the world. Who else? Other Christians? Yes. But Jesus, the light of the world. Look at John 8:12, which says, "Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world." Notice what it says next. "He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life." This is where Jesus says that he's the light of the world. So Christ is in us, and so we aren't really in and of ourselves the light, but the light is in us. This verse is further proof of something else, if you pay close attention to it. This verse is further proof that the world is a dark place. Yeah. John 9:5 says this, "As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." There's proof that it's a dark place because he's no longer here. He left. Without him, it's a dark place. Unless he can turn to a group like us and say, "Be the light of the world now. Let my light shine out through you." Let me give you 4 quick things about the light this morning. Here they are. Number 1, and this is in your bulletin, the power of the light. Think with me this morning of the power of the light. And now we come to our text. We're in Matthew chapter 5. Look at verse 14. "Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." A light that cannot be hidden is powerful. So think about the power of the light. The world is drawn to light. Our eyes are drawn to light. If you're in a dark room and somebody strikes a match over in a corner, that's where your eyes are drawn. You don't look at darkness because there's nothing really to look at. You can't see in the darkness, but you can see when that light comes on, and like moths to a flame, this world is drawn to the light. It's hard for humans in their human nature to resist looking at something that is enlightened. It's part of our nature to seek out truth and to see things that have light shone on them. Basically, what the world is admitting when they look at our light and marvel at it is that they need to fill the God-shaped void that's in their heart, that they are full of darkness, and they're seeking truth, that they're seeking light. In the 18th century, there was the period of time called the Enlightenment, which brought a resurgence of knowledge and learning. But it's interesting to me that what the world called the Enlightenment really produced more spiritual darkness than almost any other century. In spite of so much human ingenuity and so much progress, man still couldn't answer the three most basic questions of life. Where did I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going? That's not light, ladies and gentlemen. That's darkness when you can't answer those basic questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Where did I come from? And what will happen to me when I die? That's darkness. And people are sucked in like a black hole, having no direction, not knowing where their life is headed. That is, unless a beacon appears, a lighthouse, I say, sitting up on a hillside, showing them the way. And here's the good news for you. If you can answer those three questions, and how many of you know the first answer? Where did you come from? You know the answer to that, don't you? How many of you know why am I here? If you know why am I here, say amen. Amen. If you know where you're going, say praise the Lord. By answering those questions with the truth, by being able to answer those questions, it matters not if you've ever even passed grade school. You've just proven by answering those questions, you have more light than all the PhDs in the world. And that's how it makes sense that Jesus could look at these redneck disciples and say, you're the light of the world, when all the world would have laughed at that thought, because they had the truth. They had the light within them. Now you remember Jesus came into his own, and his own, finish it, received him not. And that same passage says that men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil, right? If you're in a dark room and somebody walks in and flips on the light, there's only one reason you'd be upset rather than pleased. That's if you're doing something wrong in there. Because somebody just interrupted it and cast light and shone light on what you were doing. People love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. And yet, some are seeking the truth. I believe many are seeking the truth. They need to see the light. They need to see our light. We must set it up on a hillside. Here's how it happened. I'm going to put this in the simplest terms this morning. Here's how it happened. This is history in a nutshell, okay? Man started in the light, for God is light. But man chose to sin and plunged himself into darkness. Humanism says just the opposite, that man started in darkness and crawled up out of the creeks. And man's getting better and better and more enlightened, closer to the light. We know better than that. Sinful mankind is in darkness. We are to be the light of the world, showing them the way out. And yet God loved man so much, and he wants to help people in darkness see his light, and so he deposited the light in three places. Here's the three places that he deposited the light. The places of the light, if you will, is number 2. The places of the light are the Scriptures. We just sang a song. Doc led us. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. That's Psalm 119, 105. We were singing the Scripture right there. So the places of the light are the Scriptures, number one. But not everyone has a Bible. Not everyone will see the light from the Bible. Letter B, the Savior. God deposited the light into the Savior, the one who said, I am the light of the world. And yet many reject him. And then he left, as we pointed out. So the places of the light are not only the Scriptures and the Savior, but also, letter C, the saints. The saints. Now, when's the last time you saw a firefly out in your yard? In this weather, not going to happen, right? It's been a long time. But we love seeing them out in the yard when we can. And how many days is it till maybe we'll see them again? I don't know, but I think my wife is counting them down. Fireflies are special to us because it was on July the 10th of 1992 we sat on that porch swing, just like a fairy tale story that you'd make up, on her parents' front porch. And it was the night that I was to propose. She didn't know that, although you kind of had a hunch that it might be coming sometime during that trip, because we're going to be seniors and come on, let's get on with this thing, right? We had just finished our junior year of college together in Pensacola. We're sitting on the front porch on that swing, and it was just like her name was Charlotte. I mean, we were just a-swinging there. And she brought me some iced tea. It's a special part of the story because I was so nervous. I got this ring in my pocket, and I was nervous because I know that her dad really wanted her to marry the right guy, and he was and is a dominating, powerful figure. And as a matter of fact, when I had asked him a few days before, I thought in private for his daughter's hand in marriage, I realized we were not in private when I heard her mom drop a dish in the sink in the next room, because she was eavesdropping and listening for I wonder if he's about to ask. But he gave me a good stern answer of yes, if you can say yes in a stern way, that makes you know we've worked hard on this little girl. Take good care of her if I say yes to this. So I'm nervously sipping the tea, and that led me to need to go to the restroom. Not once, but at least twice, and I don't know, do you remember, was it more than twice? I mean, it was just a long time. But then it happened. All across the fields, the fireflies started lighting up. And it was beautiful, and the moment was right, and I got my courage up. I really thought that she would say yes, and I asked her to marry me, and her first words were, "Sell the motorcycle?" Excuse me? Who says that instead of yes? This is the way I remember it anyway. Is this not exactly how it happened? But somewhere very early on, it was made clear to me by her, that crotch rocket thing that you ride, that's going to have to go if I'm going to give you my heart and become your wife. And so I took a few weeks to really weigh it out. No, I didn't. Kimberly, motorcycle, Kimberly. Obviously made the right choice. And after many years and getting the kids to age, she let me get a motorcycle again. I guess the fireflies are the most special part of our memory of that night. It was something about just sitting out there in the dark and then just the lights coming on. And so it stands out in my memory in a special way. Well, like fireflies in the yard in the evening, Christians are left behind to be something special for this world to look at. The first Bible that some people are ever going to read is you. The first sermon that some people in this world are ever going to hear is going to have to be a sermon in shoes known as you. Yeah. You are writing a gospel, a chapter each day, by the deeds that you do, by the words that you say. Men will read what you're writing, whether faithless or true. Hey, what is the gospel according to you? Be a sermon in shoes. Be the light. The only way that people will get to know Jesus as the true light of the world is if they see His light reflected by you, shining in you. So let's do this. We've already had a little fun this morning. Let's think about a few different styles of lights. If you're a Christian, you're a light, but there are different kinds of lights in the church. What kind of light are you? First of all, there's Christmas lights. Are you one of the Christmas light Christians? Used only once a year? On a special occasion? Probably not, or you wouldn't be here this morning. But the Christmas light kind of Christian is more for show. Something pretty to look at now and then. They grace us with their presence. How about another kind of light? The flashing light. The flashing light Christian. They're on again, off again, on again, back off again. They have no consistency. You really can't count on them to be there to get the job done. How about the flashlight Christian? The flashlight Christian. Very useful in times of trouble, but they have a short life of usefulness. They start to fade out slowly over time. They must be handheld. Sometimes you can make them a little brighter if you shake them. That's the flashlight Christian. How about the candlelight Christian? The candlelight Christian. They're affected by the wind. They may even go out. They're good inside, especially when there's storms outside, but they're pretty much only shining when they're in a room full of lights. Then there's the dirty light. You ever had your headlights turn all dirty looking? They don't shine as brightly. You lose your effectiveness. The more dirt we allow into our life, the less the light. They need to be cleaned. Then there's the spotlight Christian. The spotlight Christian does one thing and does it well, and thank God for that kind of Christian. There's the floodlight Christian. They have to do a lot of different things in the church, but they do their best with it all. They cover a wide area, and maybe it's with a softer light, but thank God for them. There's the beacon light Christian that calls out danger and warning and guides travelers on their way. These are the soul winners. And we need more of those, beacon light Christians. All of us need to rise to the challenge to be reflectors, reflector light Christians. Because the reflector light realizes it receives its light source from outside itself. Think of Jesus as the sun and you as the moon. And you can be the light of the world, but you're just reflecting the true light that is the sun. By the way, how does an eclipse happen? When the world comes in between the sun and the reflector, right? Yeah. Back to our text, and we're almost done here. Look at verse 15. We looked at verse 14. You're the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Verse 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Okay, listen, it's junior church time. Sing the song with me, right? Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Are you singing? Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. What are the other verses? Won't let Satan get out, right? That's a good one too. But in our text, we see this bushel mentioned here. This is number 3, the putting out of the light. What bushels do we allow to snuff out our lights? There's probably dozens. I could probably come up with a dozen of my own. You would come up with dozens more of your own. So here's just a couple this morning. One applies to our walk. The other applies to our talk. Keeping it simple now. Our walk. Think of the word worldliness with me. When a Christian is worldly, carnal, fleshly, still walking in the ways of the world, unwilling to be different, to be salt or light, it's because we don't want to be laughed at. It's because we don't want to be thought of as different or strange. And so here's what we do. Even Christians do this. We follow the course of the world. We go with the flow. Problem is, the book of Ephesians tells us not to go according to the course of this world, but to swim upstream. We're supposed to go against the grain. Somebody told D.L. Moody one day, "You're rubbing the cat the wrong way." He said, "Well, then let the cat turn around." We go against the flow. We swim upstream, taking a stand, because a worldly attitude is a bushel that will snuff out our light. I heard about a pastor who warned a young man in his church against moving, because the man was moving away, going with a company that was notorious for bad things, being a very worldly group. And so the pastor told the young man, they're just going to have a very bad influence on you. He said, they're going to treat you badly too. Not only are they going to lead you down wrong ways, but they're going to punish you for being a Christian. Well, months later, he saw the boy again after he had gone off with this troop. And he heard just the opposite. The boy said, "My experience was nothing but pleasant." The pastor said, "You mean they haven't persecuted you for being a Christian?" And he replied, "Nope. Matter of fact, they haven't even found out." Now there's a light hidden under a bushel. Now how about it, Christian? Have the people in your life even found out that you're saved? Do the people at your workplace know that you're a believer in Jesus Christ? Does all of your family know what you believe about eternity and heaven and hell? Do your neighbors know that you're a Christian? Or do you just assume that they put it together because your car's gone right now? Shouldn't they know more than that? You could be at the Elks Lodge. A desire to blend in. I've had it a great bit of my life, and I've been saved since I was 6. So I'm admitting to you that a great bit of my Christian life, I've had a desire to blend in. That means going with the flow. That means being a worldly Christian. That means a bushel hiding my light. Now, if you're still listening this morning, say amen. Amen. The desire to blend into our environment, to camouflage, to be a Clark Kent secret Christian. I'm in church. Yes, I'm a Christian. I'm out in the world. I put the glasses back on. The desire to do that will keep us from being a light in this world. So that's our walk. Now let's talk about our talk before we're done. Our talk. Fear is a bushel. Fear is a bushel that we allow to snuff out our witnessing opportunities. So allow me to make another confession today, since I've been confessing my sins to you already. I have a confession to make. Here we are sitting in a group circle. Ready? My name's Jerry, and I'm a afraidaholic. You're supposed to say, "Hi, Jerry." I'm Jerry, and I'm a afraidaholic. Yeah. Let's take a survey today and be honest, since I've been honest and transparent before you. How many of you, like me, can remember times that you've had an open door to witness, even been prompted by God's Spirit to open your mouth and witness to somebody, but you caved into fear? Can I see your hands all across the room? You know, it's just human nature, isn't it? It doesn't make it right, but it does make us human. I see somebody like that in John 19 and verse 38. It says, Joseph of Arimathaea, a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for what? For fear. Secretly for fear, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. So Joseph came out of fear. Remember Nicodemus? Nicodemus, the Bible says, came at night under cover of darkness. Nick at night, I call him. Yeah. Well, listen, nowhere does the Bible teach infiltration. Infiltration? No. Proclamation, that's taking our stand. Jesus took his stand for us on Calvary. Now we must take our stand. One last verse on the screen here, 2 Corinthians 4. Read this aloud together with me, please. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. Isn't that a powerful verse? It's sad, and yet it's so powerfully true. If our gospel's hid, it's hid to the wrong people. It's hid to them that are lost. And why? Because Satan has blinded their minds. Why? Because we allow him to hide it under a bushel rather than let it shine unto them. The purpose of the light we see in verse 16. That's number 4. The purpose of the light. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Why do we do good works? Not so people will remark what a great Christian you are. No, the purpose of the light is not to shine light on itself, but to shine light on something else. Not to draw attention to itself, but to illuminate Jesus and glorify the Father in heaven. 2 weeks ago, I told you about salt and said we need to get the salt out of the shaker. Today, we need to be the light of the world. And that means when we're not in this room. Right now, you're a light in a room full of lights. Nobody can really see you in a way that impacts them positively in here compared to how you can do that out in the lost and dark and dying world. I think our first opening song this morning said, "There's a call comes ringing o'er the restless wave. Send the light." We'll talk about sending the light tonight with our missionary, Fitzsimmons, tonight. Let's pray about it this morning. With our heads bowed and our eyes closed, Lord, I just want to come to you now and thank you that you are light and that you sent your Son to be the light of the world, who enlightened our hearts, and then when he left said, continue to light your world. Help us to be that light. Help us to shine in dark places. Lord, I pray that First Baptist Church of New London would be that shining city on a hill, that lighthouse on a hillside overlooking life's sea. Lord, in this season in which we find ourselves, we are tossed. It is dark. May we send out a light that others may find the truth and find the way. Lord, I pray for someone to be saved, to see the light today because of the gospel given today, and help us to not hide it under a bushel, but to let it shine. In Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen. Heads are bowed, eyes are closed. Let's stand to our feet.